Good evening. Jenny's in for Scott tonight, and we start at 6 with new details on a crash that killed a Delaware County Sheriff's deputy in the line of duty.
And those details come amid a growing effort to honor his life and service. So right now, we know 31-year-old Corporal Blake Reynolds was with the Sheriff's Office for 4 years. And before that, he served in the Army Reserves.
He also had just gotten married this year before the terrible tragedy that happened this morning. Tonight, we bring you team coverage. Emily Longnecker getting fresh insight into how he's being remembered. And we're going to start tonight with our Ashton Hackman with the very latest on the investigation. Ashton, what a tough day.
Indeed, Anne-Marie and Jenny, as you can imagine, investigators have so much evidence to comb through to piece together what exactly led up to this crash this morning. Indiana State Police is the agency in charge of that investigation. They tell us that Reynolds had parked his car behind that semi around 3 this morning. That semi was stranded. They think another semi driven by 39-year-old Teddy Johnson lost control and crashed into both vehicles. Reynolds was outside his squad car when he was hit, and as you can imagine, first responders rushed to that scene to try to save him, but Reynolds died at Ball Memorial Hospital. Johnson was airlifted to Methodist in Indianapolis for emergency surgery, and right now we're still waiting on an update on his condition. State police tell us Johnson's semi had dash cameras, and they are working to collect that evidence as part of this lengthy and tragic investigation. Tonight, fellow deputies say they are heartbroken, remembering Reynolds as a strong deputy, a rising leader, and a friend.
You know, it was 3:30 in the morning. There was hardly anybody on the roads. It was just a very unfortunate situation.
The Delaware County Sheriff's Office tells us funeral arrangements will be announced at a later date. We also know that grief counselors will be made available to deputies here, especially those that were working alongside Reynolds on that overnight shift. The community, they are beginning to come together alongside those deputies to honor Corporal Reynolds. Emily Longnecker has been working on that part of our coverage. Emily, what have you heard?
Yeah, Ashton, you know, members of the community starting to come here tonight to the Delaware County Sheriff's Department. You can see laying flowers here on this patrol car. This is not actually Corporal Reynolds' patrol car. As you said, that was badly damaged this morning, but this is a patrol car like it, and people are coming here to honor him and remember him. In fact, the tribute started already this morning.
Under a bright blue sky Wednesday morning, law enforcement escorted the body of Delaware County Sheriff's Department Corporal Blake Reynolds from a Muncie hospital. As the procession passed, members of the public stopped what they were doing, watching in utter stillness, the kind that comes when people realize they're in the presence of greatness. In this case, in the presence of a fallen hero who made the greatest sacrifice one can.
To see the community standing out like they did was just amazing. You know, going through the university and seeing the students and seeing construction workers actually stop what they're doing and line the streets. It was just amazing to see.
It is with profound sadness that I call this special emergency meeting to order.
Delaware County's Board of Commissioners met, ordering flags in the county flown at half-staff.
This small gesture cannot measure the depth of our sorrow, but it symbolizes our respect and our gratitude for a life dedicated to duty.
We just need to keep his family, his new wife, just keep everybody in your thoughts and prayers.
Corporal Reynolds just got married in June to his wife, Allison.
Him and his wife were getting ready to start a family.
The Delaware County Sheriff's Department called Reynolds a true leader, someone who was rising within the ranks quickly because of his abilities.
Blake was a young kid, and he had a big future. It's hard shoes to fill.
Corporal Reynolds' law enforcement family in mourning tonight. I also traded some messages on Facebook with a friend of Corporal Reynolds, a man who was his guitar teacher and youth leader at one point. He told me that Corporal Reynolds was smart, kind, and caring for others, and he said that he had really found his calling when he joined the Sheriff's Department here in Delaware County, that this was a job that he was perfectly suited for, and he said he was deeply saddened and heartbroken to learn of his tragic death. And no doubt in the coming days, as more community members come here to the Delaware County Sheriff's Department and pay their respects, we're going to learn more about the impact that Corporal Reynolds had on this community. Ann, Jenny.
All right, Emily, thank you.
As new information comes in on this investigation and ways you can pay respects, we will bring you updates both on air and online.
In the courtroom in Hendricks County today, the murder trial just kicked off for a man from Missouri who's accused of hitting and killing an Indiana State trooper during a police chase. Rich Knight in the courtroom today, and he says the jury must decide if Eddie Jones intentionally swerved his car to hit that trooper.
There's no question that Eddie Jones was behind the wheel of the car that struck and killed State Trooper Aaron Smith in June of 2023. But the defense told the jury that Jones tried to avoid Trooper Smith, that this was not murder. Eddie Jones was just 18 years old, driving his mother's car that he stole in Sikeston, Missouri. Jones led police on a high-speed chase on the west side of Indianapolis into Hendricks County. Trooper Aaron Smith was attempting to deploy stop sticks on Ronald Reagan Parkway at I-70. The car turned towards Smith and hit him, launching the trooper into the air. The jury watched the traffic camera video. Make no mistake, the defendant on June 28, 2023, refused to be held accountable for his actions. The prosecutor told the jury in his opening statement, but the defense says the evidence will show that Jones slammed on his brakes and tried to swerve when he saw the trooper. Trooper Aaron Smith was 33 years old. If Jones is found guilty, the prosecutor is asking for a sentence of life in prison without parole. In Danville, Rich Knight, 13 News.
As expected, a much warmer day. In fact, the map of the day is the 24-hour temperature change. We're up 10 to almost 15 degrees from this time yesterday, up 14 in Crawfordsville, up 14 in Bedford, and it's 10 degrees warmer in Indianapolis. We're in the 40s and 50s, down to 48. Indianapolis still have 53, Bloomington 55 in Bedford, but under the clear skies, temperatures are going to continue to drop pretty quickly this evening. We'll be in the middle and upper 40s the next several hours, low 40s by mid to late evening, and overnight temperatures in the 30s. So cold enough for a heavy coat at the bus stop tomorrow morning, but you won't need it tomorrow afternoon. Much like today, we're going to be able to shed the layers. High temperatures tomorrow afternoon will end up 55 to 60 degrees, 34 at 7 a.m., 52 at noon, highs near 60.
.607, and tonight here you have a live look inside Capitol Hill, where lawmakers right now are voting on whether or not to reopen the federal government. They're voting on this funding proposal that's now on the House floor. It passed the Senate Monday. President Trump is already signaling he is ready to sign it.
And that current funding proposal up for debate was brokered between a small group of Senate Democrats and Republicans. The bill is expected to pass in the House, but Indiana Congressman Andre Carson says he and his fellow House Democrats won't be voting for it because it doesn't help with health care costs. Take a listen.
President Trump and Republicans, they broke their promise to lower costs. Their partisan spending bill ends health care tax credits, as we know. And it means millions of Americans will face very devastating premium increases.
Now, those health care tax credits from the Affordable Care Act were a big reason for the shutdown in the first place, but they are not included in the new deal. We'll have more coverage on the push to reopen the government and the fight still ahead tonight on 13 News at 6:30 over on WTHR+.